Hello, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Well, shrimp season officially opened on May 16th, but this year the Gulf might be a little quieter than normal for the shrimping industry.
As TWILA's Neil Melancon tells us, tough economic times mean fewer boats in Louisiana's waters.
Cocoa Tree sits at the southern end of Terrebonne Parish. It's always been a quiet town. As shrimp season opens here, these docks are too quiet as many have sold their boats. Third-generation shrimper Chad Porche says he knows why.
If you catch 45,000 pounds of shrimp, you come to the dock and you got $20,000 and you got $20,000 expense. This dude just went out for 20 days away from his family for nothing.
It's become trendy down here to build big homes by folks from out of town, but locals aren't as well off. Signs from previous hurricanes are still present years later.
I think they said it was like one of the boats anyway was worth $1 million. I just sold that boat the other day for like $300,000. To replace the boat was like $1.5 million. You can't even sell it for what it's worth. So everything you work for your whole life, you're really not even turning a profit at the end of the deal selling it.
Chad's wife, Angela, minds the books for the company. She says things just aren't adding up for those living the traditional way of life here.
I would say at least a third to half of the shrimpers have recently gone out of business because of the high fuel, the low prices of shrimp, the imports flooding our market. And it's a very sad situation. We have a few that hung on real tight, and they're still hanging on real tight. I would say pretty much by a thread.
It may be hard to believe things are tough for shrimpers, especially if you're paying more in a restaurant. However, inflation on the consumer end hasn't caught up to the producer end.
We're just seeing prices that really are equal or lower than the 1980s. Shrimp is the one commodity that is just really not seeing any inflation. So the prices just really are at a record level low.
Chad's cutting up some fish he caught near the docks. Nearby, his son is working the family business but won't go out to catch shrimp as they've had to sell their boats themselves. Still, Chad says it's diversifying their business and faith in their way of life that keeps them going.
I think things are going to change, you know. Nothing never stays the same, so I guess that's faith. Got to have a good woman in your life too. That helps out. And then most of all these fishermen, that's what they got.
Restaurants famous for serving fresh Gulf shrimp depend on boats like the one here behind me. However, all of that could go away. All of the U.S. demand could be satisfied by imports, but those imports don't meet the same standards we're used to here in the United States. Unless we act to preserve the native shrimp industry, all of this could be gone. Reporting from Cocoa Tree, Louisiana, I'm Neil Melancon.
Shrimp season for inland waterways usually runs from May to July. This is the brown shrimp season, while the white shrimp season is in the fall. While the stress of working in agriculture can be high, for some, too high. Mental health struggles are unfortunately common for farmers and their families.
Sadly, there's still a stigma on the subject. With May being Mental Health Awareness Month, TWILA's Josh Meeks looks at the difficulties of falling into a dark place.
Let's start with the obvious. Farming isn't easy. Rapides Parish soybean farmer Robert Duncan can testify. He's the fourth generation in his family to work these fields.
You do the best you can with what you have and hope for the best, and pray about it and hope it all works out.
Bills, equipment maintenance, staff management, all the things that come with running a farm rest on his shoulders.
You don't get to stop at the door and take your boots off and leave it outside. Because you go home and you go in and you eat supper and you're thinking about it. You're talking, putting your kids in the bathtub and in the bed and you're thinking about it. And you're going to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. It's just, it's always there. You can't leave it alone and you can't forget about it.
For many in agriculture, that's a lot of pressure. For some, it's too much.
This work sector struggles with serious issues like suicide.
Dr. Tara Haskins is the Total Farmer Health Director for AgriSafe. She says for people struggling with mental health, no matter how alone you may feel, the first thing you have to do is speak up.
I can't emphasize enough how important communities are. Many times we talk about some of the disparities that exist in rural communities, but we've got a lot of strengths. And our communities and our closeness can be one of those strengths.
Louisiana Farm Bureau prides itself on creating those community connections, not just for longtime farmers, but for those just starting out who may not have those relatable friendships.
A first-generation farmer is going to experience, first of all, isolation most of the time because they often don't have the support system that a generational farmer would have that understands what farming is like and what the pressures and challenges are of farming.
The most important thing to take away is that no one is alone. Farmers want to help their neighbors because they've been there.
Every other farmer in the state, in the South, in the country, in the world is dealing with some form of the same headache, same trouble, whether it be financial, whether it be weather, whether it be, breakdowns and repairs. They're dealing with the same thing. So when you think that it's getting too much, whether it be, too much or you're feeling down today, pick the phone up and call somebody, talk to somebody, text, type it out and delete it.
As mentioned, there are numerous resources available, many of them right here through Farm Bureau. We have a link to those posted on our website at twilatv.org. And guys, it's so good to see the tide changing with how people talk about this. It used to be, like Robert said, you sucked it up and you just dealt with it. But this generation is seeing that that's not really a solution anymore, and it may have never been.
Well, coming from a stressful world like television news to over here in the ag world, were you surprised to see that there's such an issue with mental health in agriculture?
I mean, not really. Farming can be lonely. It's very stressful work. And unlike a job like a 9-to-5, you can quit there and go across the street. You can't just leave your farm and go down the road to a different farm because it's tied to your family. It's your entire livelihood. And, for multi-generation farmers, they don't want to be the reason that farm failed.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's very true, and thanks for bringing us such a crucial story, Josh Meeks. There are nearly 640,000 students enrolled in K-12 schools in Louisiana. That's according to the National Center for Education Statistics. However, not every one of them gets to learn about agriculture.
That's where the Louisiana Ag in the Classroom program comes in to provide educators with lesson plans and activities in core subjects that incorporate agriculture. Some teachers work ag into their lessons better than others, which is why the Ag in the Classroom program recognizes one teacher as the Teacher of the Year.
Get your shovel. Dig under the plant.
Knowledge is what's growing in the garden at Lafargue Elementary School in Avoyles Parish. That said, you just never know what you'll find buried in the soil. You just have to dig a little, and yes, that's the waistband from a pair of cotton underwear.
Whose underwear were those?
Nobody's.
This is all that remains from an experiment to learn the health of the soil. More decomposers equals better soil.
What happened to them?
They decompose.
These third graders are all students in Chantel Hadaway's class. She uses agriculture and these chickens to help teach math and science.
I was raised on a farm. My daddy raised cattle. We had chickens, we had pigs. We ate our cows, we ate our pigs. My grandmother had cows, milk cows. We milked cows. She taught us how to do that. She taught us how to slaughter chickens. We learned all of that. That was our way of life.
Hadaway uses this coop to bring that way of life to her students. They collect the eggs.
13 plus 5 equals 18 eggs.
Count them up and sell them at the school to pay for the supplies they need to care for the hens and their star rooster.
This is Peanut. This is Peanut.
That brings me such joy.
That joy began just before the pandemic when Hadaway's class was incubating eggs and everything shut down.
So I took the incubator home, hatched at the house, and the joy that I got out of that, I was just like, this is wonderful. We have got to expand this. So that's when I thought, I want a chicken house. And my husband was like, there's no way. You can't have a chicken house on campus. So I went to my principal and I talked to her, and she was like, absolutely. She said, if you can get the funds for it, go right ahead.
Since then, Hadaway has found funds from Nutrien and others to pay for her Ag in the Classroom projects.
That little bitty spark has led to a wildfire of energy. She doesn't stop.
Charlotte Marks nominated Hadaway for the 2024 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year. This sign on her door lets you know she won.
It's been wonderful. It's changed my entire teaching attitude completely. I want to get up and come to work every single day just to teach ag in the classroom so that I can watch these kids grow.
For being named the AITC Teacher of the Year, Hadaway receives an all-expense-paid trip to the National Ag in the Classroom Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, an Apple iPad, and $500 in cash. She'll also be honored at the 102nd Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention in New Orleans, June 27th through the 30th. Again, congratulations to Mrs. Hadaway for a well-deserved honor. The Louisiana Farm-to-School Program is one more resource aimed at getting people involved with and educated on agriculture.
TWILA's Keely Ana Strickland joined the program's members for its annual retreat, where they came up with new ideas to promote the industry.
Louisiana teachers, administrators, cafeteria staff, and everyone in between met at the Wesley Retreat Center for LSU Ag Center's Farm-to-School Institute. This retreat focused on methods of educating students about agriculture. Lots of planning and preparation took place long before the retreat to kickstart this new program. Cecilia Stevens is a program manager and one of many who made this event possible.
For the past year, I have been working to help plan the Louisiana Farm-to-School Institute. This is a pilot program modeled on Northeast Feed, or from a program that came from Vermont. And the idea is that we're bringing together a cohort of school districts this year who are given time and space here at the Wesley Retreat Center to plan and also to reflect on their plan for the week that they're here. About what they'd like to see a farm-to-school program look like in their particular districts.
Stephen says that it's great to get a program started, but it's necessary to keep it going as well.
The key word that we're looking at is sustainability. Many times a farm-to-school program starts with one person who has passion, which is wonderful, and they have passion for beginning a farm-to-school program or for beginning a garden in their school, taste tests in their cafeteria, whichever part of the farm-to-school program it is that they are passionate about.
Celeste Finney is also a program manager and collaborates with Stevens to bring this program home to our state.
We're in a place in our current culture where oftentimes we take for granted that some of us know how to cook and we know where our food comes from. Many kids don't have any information about where their food comes from, why farmers are important, why being good stewards of the land is important.
Dr. Karl Motzenbacher is the executive director of the Farm-to-School program and sees a dire need for the implementation of this program in schools.
We've divorced ourselves from agriculture. We have like less than 1% of people are directly engaged in agriculture. This is a way for people to understand where our food comes from, for people to grow their own food.
They believe it's important to teach kids that their food doesn't just magically appear in a grocery store.
And so I think that is something really beautiful, that this program also connects people to the place. They're seeing how important Louisiana is, especially when we can celebrate our food that's grown right here in our state.
Reporting from Woodworth for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Keely Ana Strickland.
Now it's time for this week's Farmer's Forecast.
Corn is growing and soybeans are emerging, but will the Goldilocks growing conditions continue? Let's check in with meteorologist Nick Nicholas.
Thank you all very much. Very wet conditions. That has been the rule. We look at this map here. You see parts of the state here, southeast Louisiana, has been fairly dry relative to normal and relative to the rest of the state. Double what we see typically in the last 30 days here in Alexandria, and you can see some of those areas out near the Texas border really seeing a ton of rainfall here. So soybean planting has pretty much stopped. I do think we have some hope coming into things here, and we're going to take a look at that in just a second. But you look year over year, the last 365 days, we're still behind our normal pace, believe it or not, even after up here in Alexandria since January 1st. We're about 12 inches ahead of where we should be. That just shows you how dry it was last year, last summer and fall. So some areas of the state, especially up along I-20, getting back to normal for the last 365 days. But fortunately, what we're seeing here, and I'm going to show you this in a couple of different ways, rainfall outlook for this week is looking pretty tame. In fact, I think a lot of us stay dry. Your 8 to 14 day outlook, you get into the end of the month, May 24th to May 30th, and we're actually near to below normal is what we're forecasting. So that's good. We're going to get out there, get some drying time. And as we get to this time of year, we know the heat can really become, a bit of an issue. And right now, I think we're going to welcome this in above normal temperatures. That means some 90s will be widespread through next week, and that's really going to speed up the drying process. Now let's take it even a little bit further, your 30-day outlook for May, it looks like near normal. So not seeing that big green blob over the area. This is good news. It looks like we're finally breaking this pattern of intense rainfall, and we're going to see some drier air come in, at least in the short term, and it looks like that is going to last into May, or into the end of May and into the beginning of June. So this is some good news for us. I know we need whatever we can get right now, and I will be watching things carefully, and we'll keep you as updated as I am. Back to you.
Thanks, Nick. Still to come on TWILA, we go to the Louisiana State Capitol, where Farm Bureau members have an audience with some of Louisiana's top lawmakers.
And later we'll head to Marrero for some good certified Louisiana barbecue. Perfect if you're firing up the grill this weekend.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
As with every spring, a lot of attention is focused on the state capitol and policy that will affect farmers and ranchers in the state. That was evident at the Louisiana Farm Bureau's Women's Leadership Committee's recent visit.
Appreciation was a recurring theme of the committee's Capitol Day. As TWILA's Karl Wiggers shows us, it was a two-way street where the legislators praised the group for making the visit and advocating for the ag industry.
Louisiana Farm Bureau women are gathering in the rotunda of the state capitol to tell their farm stories in the room where it happens. Well, this is the observation deck. This is the room where it happens. At least it's the room the ladies are meeting with two of the most important men related to ag policy that comes through the state capitol.
I think it just puts us all on a level playing field, and you get to talk with them one-on-one, just personally and about any issues, at least in your own district.
Michelle Simoneau is the chair of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee. Her belief that these meetings are valuable are shared by the elected officials they visited with, like Senator Stuart Cathy of Monroe, who chairs the Senate Ag Committee.
It's nice to hear people that are actually out in the community. Sometimes we end up in a bubble down here in Baton Rouge, and for them to make us aware of things that may be going on or things that we may not be seeing.
Representative Troy Romero is one of the few in the Capitol who has past experience in production agriculture. With that background, he serves as the chair of the House Ag Committee. Romero says a lot of the problems facing agriculture are the same, regardless of the part of the state you're from.
For that reason, you know, when we strike up a conversation, lots of times we're talking about the same things, and I think that's a good thing. But there's also little tweaks, little things that you need or somebody might need on a farming operation that would help them to better themselves.
Romero says it's in those little tweaks that visits like this one are most valuable.
And if we can get that information, whether it's through Farm Bureau's membership or whether it's through the Ag Center or whether it's through farm agencies across the state, that's important, and that helps us to be able to make laws and statutes that will benefit the industry.
Cathy says these visits help keep him focused on the constituents he serves as they navigate a long and busy session.
I'm extremely grateful to Farm Bureau, particularly individuals and groups like this that come out to see us at the Capitol. I'm always happy to sit down and visit with them, again, bounce ideas off of them, get feedback from them, and it's always helpful as we navigate this process.
I think it's important to keep coming back because our committee rotates every year, and we have some new members, and we want them to see the process, what goes on down here, what Farm Bureau's voice really means in the state capitol. So I think it's important that we continue this every year.
In Baton Rouge, I'm Karl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Now, this is an annual event for the Women's Leadership Committee. If you'd like to learn more about the work of this group and get involved, head over to our website at twilatv.org.
Still to come on TWILA, milking a joke for all it's worth. We're taking a comedic peek behind the scenes of a dairy farm.
I love it because I love cooking and I love people to be satisfied when they eat my food. Have you ever heard of peach cobbler chicken tenders? Wait till you eat it. How you doing,
Hello, how are you?
All right, sir.
Good to see you. Mike.
Eddie.
Well, show me what you got.
All right. We are in Marrero, Louisiana at the moment where the barbecue team actually started from the barbershop.
I'm Dr. Mike Strain, Louisiana Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry. I'm here in Marrero with Kuzan's Barbecue on Westwood Drive.
About 2013, a group of guys that we just love cooking, and we would talk so much smack on the weekend for football games. We just started competing and making barbecue for everybody in the neighborhood. And the next thing we knew, we were competing. That's how Kuzan started. Bunch of family members and friends. We're able to help some of the brightest minds through the barbershops. I'm a dad to a lot of kids that's not mine. So
I met the Kuzan family of Kuzan Barbecue and the whole team when we were at the Louisiana Restaurant Association. They're one of our certified family of companies. This barbecue looks so much better than mine. Oh, I bet that's good, huh?
Yes.
Boy, that would be good on some chicken cooked on Sunday, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Certified Louisiana program has set me apart when I need to call Baton Rouge and ask a question about what to do, where to go. They have a list of people readily at their hand to help me get through that roadblock. They've been a blessing to me.
That's what Certified Louisiana is. It's about bringing a part of our culture, a part of who we are, a part of our family from here to you.
We have a line of seasoning called chocolate that's wonderful on your ribs, your pulled pork. We have poultry pleasure that's good on anything, especially your fingers.
All right. Everybody's got to try this. Certified Louisiana's Crawfish Tales with Commissioner Mike Strain was brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry Certified Louisiana program. For information about the Certified Louisiana, Certified Cajun, Certified Creole, Certified Craft Beverage, and the Certified Farm to Table Logo program, visit certifiedlouisiana.org or ldaf.la.gov. Support Louisiana families. Look for Certified Louisiana logos at your favorite grocery, restaurant, or farmer's market. Buy Louisiana. It's the way to grow.
Time now for this week's TWILA Boost, and once again we're looking at the lighter side of the dairy industry.
Comedian and SNL alum Vanessa Bayer is the farthest thing from a farmer, but here she is getting out of her comfort zone.
Cows can move their jaws 40,000 times a day. Hey, guess what? So can I. It's called being a blabbermouth. I'm TV's Vanessa Bayer. And if you're anything like me, you love to eat cheese, you love to eat ice cream, and you love to absolutely blast a latte. But sometimes I go, hey, how did this milk get from the farm to me? So I decided to find out.
A little nervous of having her here on the farm, given no farm background.
Oh, okay, she's having fun.
Definitely like a city mouse, popped right in the middle of the country.
Dairy Diaries follows Bayer on Beck Farms in upstate New York. You can watch it right now on the Roku channel. Before we go, we wanted to give a send-off to our spring TWILA intern, Keely Ana Strickland.
You've probably seen her in her stories that she's done here on TWILA, starting when she submerged herself in grain for the Grain Bin Safety Awareness Program. Keely Ana hopes to follow her communications path at LSU to a career in journalism.
She's shown a lot of promise and has a natural talent. Keely Ana, we know you'll go far. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll update you on the latest on getting help for Louisiana crawfish farmers. That's been a hot topic this season.
Absolutely. Until then, you can watch all of these stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. Be sure to smash subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you know when we put something new out there.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.